Hambletonian Week 1961 at DuQuoin, Illinois. And the sky is the limit as this pretty little Midwestern town turns on the charm for visitors from all over the nation. The DuQuoin State Fairgrounds is a galaxy of bright lights and merriment during those warm summer evenings, directly preceding the classic $130,000 race for the cream of the country's 3-year-old trotters. Everyone comes to the Hambletonian. Gene and Don Hayes again spare no expense in playing host to this famed trotting race. Nelson Eddy and Gail Sherwood are on hand. So is Rosemary Clooney. The Hambletonian Society voted DuQuoin a contract extension during this gala week in late August, and it's no wonder. 13 speedy colts and fillies will answer the marshal's call on Hambletonian Day. But meanwhile, time doesn't drag for the early DuQuoin visitor. Here's what it's all about. The coveted Hambletonian Cup. A queen must be selected, and that's almost as tough as selecting the winning horse. The luck of the draw will heighten the pre-race interest of speculation. 13 drivers would love to draw the post position for this wide-open free-for-all, but there is only one rail to be had, and Johnny Simpson on the right looks mighty happy after the number 1 pellet falls into his possession. He'll drive Caleb, fleet son of Hootmine. Everyone moves leisurely on Hambletonian morning because it's going to be a long, long day. It's also going to be a hot day, some 92 degrees in DuQuoin, in fact. And men and animals concentrate on the project of keeping as cool as possible. Nothing is sacred, not even the infield lake. Equipment has already been closely checked, and now it's washed spotlessly clean. The competitors also must have clean vision beneath a cool head. An all-time DuQuoin record crowd of 32,964 has assembled for a tradition-laden race that again is jammed with potentially immortal trotters. The nation's newspapers cover this classic in more ways than one. Even more heat is generated in the Smithy's tent. A bad shoe today could cost a horse as much as $77,000 in prize money. Repeating, absolutely everyone comes to the Hambletonian. Matastar, owned by the Arden Homestead stable of Goshen, New York, is one of the pre-race favorites. Driver-trainer Harry Panal, a master handler of colts, guided the sleek bay to 5 straight victories before Caleb broke the string by a neck in the matron stakes. Claire Sampson seems to have something in common with a black cat. The white kitty goes begging. And now veteran Lou Huber, Claire Sampson's driver, enters the plot. Claire is one of those 3 fillies in the 13-horse field. Ah, that's it. Off goes Huber's Blackie to hex the other entry. 13 horses and the black cat. Jimmy Arthur will drive trainer Del Miller's Harlan Dean. Unsound early in the year, Harlan Dean didn't come back to the races until July the 21st. Here's Caleb's warm-up form. It's been good for 5 victories in 5 seconds and 13 starts. Yonkers Futurity winner Duke Rodney will be driven again by 29-year-old Eddie Wheeler. Castleton Farm Spectator, handled by Ralph Baldwin, also figures to bear plenty of watching. Driver Benny Shue and Pronto Don, 1951's Harness Horse of the Year, lead the entries onto the track. Behind the ancient high-wheeled sulky comes Caleb with driver Johnny Simpson, Speedy Princess with Earl Avery, Harlan Dean and Jimmy Arthur, Frostbite driven by Joey O'Brien, Meadow Far, Del Miller up, Claire Sampson and Lou Huber, Spectator with Ralph Baldwin, Duke Rodney driven by young Eddie Wheeler, Medalist Frank Irvin up, Behave with Del Cameron, Matastar and Harry Panal, Hack Hanover with Jimmy Hackett up, And number 13 Orbiter, second half of the Castleton entry, with Larry Garton driving. Riley Counts eases them up to the starting gate, and the field is ready to spring into action. Caleb has the rail. Speedy Princess in there second. And they're all moving away nicely. Everybody's on stride. And they're off and trotting. Speedy Princess breaks out of the gate. Claire Sampson out of the sixth hole with a rush. As they race to the first turn, Claire Sampson is going for him, getting the lead. Harlan Dean is dropping in on the rail second. Spectator is moving on the outside. Caleb is right there fourth. Matastar is fifth. Meadow Far moving on the outside sixth. Nail fifth. Duke Rodney is also moving into contention. He's now seventh. As they race over to the quarter mark, it's Spectator going for and getting the lead. Spectator is on top. Claire Sampson is second. On the outside, Meadow Far is third. Harlan Dean is nailed fourth. And they went to the quarter in 29 2/5. Meadow Far challenges for and gets the lead in the back stretch as they straighten out. Matastar is moving up with a rush. Matastar is nailed third. Nailed second. Duke Rodney trailing Matastar down the back stretch. It's Matastar now taking the lead. Matastar is on top by a half a length. Meadow Far is second, but Duke Rodney is coming on strongly now. Spectator is right there fourth. Claire Sampson fifth. Harlan Dean is sixth, and Caleb is seventh. As they race by the halfway mark, they're there in 59 seconds with Duke Rodney now on top. Matastar is right there second. Meadow Far is still third. Spectator is still fourth. As they wheel around the far turn, it's Duke Rodney on top. Out goes Meadow Far. Here comes Caleb roaring up on the outside. Nail fifth. As they round the turn and head for home, it's Duke Rodney on the front end now. Meadow Far and Matastar race head and head. Spectator is still fourth. Caleb is fifth. Claire Sampson is sixth. Harlan Dean is now seventh. As they come to the three-quarter mark in 1:29. At the head of the stretch, Duke Rodney still has the lead. It's Duke Rodney, Meadow Far, Caleb. Harlan Dean is moving to the extreme outside. Claire Sampson saving ground on the inside. Duke Rodney has the lead. Matastar off stride goes Duke Rodney. And Matastar is taking the lead. But look on the outside. It's Harlan Dean coming on strongly now. Harlan Dean and Matastar racing for that wire. It's Matastar and Harlan Dean. Harlan Dean and Matastar with Caleb third. As they hit the wire, it's Harlan Dean, Matastar, and Caleb. 1:58 2/5. Not only a Hambletonian record, but a new world record for 3-year-old trotters. Owned by the Keystone Stables of Meadowlands, Pennsylvania, Harlan Dean smashed the old record of 1:58 3/5, held jointly by Lane Rodney and Caleb. The driver, Jimmy Arthur, knows he'll no longer have the element of surprise in his favor next trip. The price of victory for Hanson Harlan Dean is the saliva test. A star as a 2-year-old, Hailing Harlan Dean didn't look as though he'd ever get to the races in 1961. He finally found his way to the starting gate at Vernon Downs just 6 weeks before the Hambletonian. The brown colt by Harlan out of Lydene, Hanover, had won just one race in 8 starts before today. Can Caleb and Duke Rodney and Matastar and Spectator be beaten again in the second heat? That now is the only subject of conversation. Hambletonian co-sponsor Don Hayes, foreground, knows he has another great racing show, and so does brother Gene Hayes. While the huge crowd relaxes, the Hambletonian paddock area again becomes a beehive of activity. Speedy Princess finished 13th in the first heat, but she'll be back in the second heat along with the other 11 runner-ups. And if Harlan Dean wins this next heat, of course it's all over. Can he possibly come out of nowhere twice in the same day? Caleb, for one, is anxious to prove that Harlan Dean cannot. Well, it's that time, and out of the paddock they come. That long Hambletonian mile will be even hotter and more challenging this time. Even a pretty outrider can't subdue the tensions at trackside. Caleb and Speedy Princess lead the way. Harlan Dean joins the parade. big field moving up to the gate. Harlan Dean's on the rail. Mattis Stars away second. Caleb third. Claire Sampson fourth. Duke Rodney fifth and Spectator sixth. The gate springs open. They're off and trotting with Claire Sampson breaking out of the gate with a rush. Mattis Star is off stride. Caleb is also moving. And Harlan Dean drops in on the rail. Third as they go to the turn. Mattis Star still off stride as Claire Sampson takes the lead. Caleb is moving up with a rush on the outside. He's nailed second. Mattis Star along the rail third but off stride. And Spectator moves up and challenges four and gets into the three-hole now. There's Caleb going for the lead as they near the quarter mark. Caleb has the lead now. Claire Sampson is second. Spectator is third. And they're there at the quarter in 29 and a fifth. That's Meadow Far racing up on the outside. Nail third. Harlan Dean's along the rail fifth at this point in the race. Meadow Far is challenging for the lead. Nail second. Meadow Far is nail on top as they near the halfway mark. Caleb is second. Claire Sampson is third. Spectator is fourth. Harlan Dean is nailed fifth. Medalist is sixth. As they near the half. And out of the hole goes Harlan Dean, and Spectator goes right with him. On the front end, Meadow Far has the lead at the halfway mark. They're at the half in 59 and 2/5 seconds. Around the turn they come. On top, it's Meadow Far. Spectator is nailed second on the outside. Caleb is third on the rail. Harlan Dean is fourth on the outside. Claire Sampson is fifth on the rail, and Medalist is sixth. As they move into the turn and head to the three-quarter pole, it's Meadow Far still on top by a half a length now. And on the outside, Spectator is second. Along the rail, Caleb saving ground is third. Harlan Dean's going the long way this trip on the outside at the three-quarter mark in 1:29 and 2/5. Around the turn, Duke Rodney on the extreme outside starts to show signs of trot, but off stride he goes again. And in the head of the stretch, it's anybody's second heat. Harlan Dean is turning on now. He's on the outside. Spectator is hanging on gamely between horses. Caleb and Claire Sampson try to move up. As they come down through the straightaway, though, Harlan Dean is now away but 2 lengths. It's going to be Harlan Dean easily in the second and final heat of the Hambletonian. Harlan Dean hits that wire first. A sizzling 1:59 for Harlan Dean and a brand new 2-heat world record for trotters at any age. Second place Caleb was beaten by 2.5 lengths. Pomp and pageantry take over in Victory Lane. The most famous Dean since Dizzy was pitching. Illinois Governor Otto Kerner is on hand to present the king-size Hambletonian trophy to owners Max Hemp, Roy Cleveland, and Del Miller. A real winning combination. 42-year-old Jimmy Arthur is a leading driver in the East, and today is the best in the Midwest. The Victory Cup runneth over for Harlan Dean, but he'll just take it full of votes if you please. Max Hemp proudly carries off the Hambletonian trophy, and in a few minutes, there'll also be a check available in the amount of $77,364.93. It's another Hambletonian day to remember. A day when records and giants fell beneath a blazing sun along a blazing mile. Hambletonian comes again to Detroit, Illinois. And on this perfect summer day in late August, the charming little Midwestern town becomes the racing capital of the world. The spacious grandstand is empty 1 minute and full of cheering humanity the next. Even the barns are an attractive attraction at DuQuoin. The National Air Show is part of the DuQuoin State Fair program during the days building up to the Hambletonian. The lively and lavish night grandstand show has included such stars as Andy Griffith, Carol Channing, George Burns, Anita Bryant, and Dodie Stevens. The whole production is labeled the fabulous 40th DuQuoin State Fair. But the Hambletonian is the thing. It's America's most colorful showdown for 3-year-old trotters. And today there will be no fewer than 15 horses in one tremendous cavalry charge behind that starting gate. Even veteran Sanders Russell, dad foot and all, will be in on the chase. Fact is, the crippled Mr. Russell will drive one of the favorites, A.C. Viking, a perfect-mannered bay colt who has already won the $105,000 Yonkers Futurity first leg of trotting's Triple Crown. Everyone is busy on Hambletonian morning, and no stone is left unturned in preparation for this $116,000 classic. DuQuoin's 1-mile clay track, again lightning fast, is one of the swiftest surfaces in harness racing, as is testified by 5 of the last 6 Hambletonian heats being under the magic 2-minute mark. And rightfully proud of their racing palace are the Hayes brothers, Gene and Don, who even find members of the foreign press on hand to cover today's great racing show. Here's the warm-up form of Impish, the world's champion 2-year-old in 1961, and to be driven today by capable Frank Irvin. Isaac will be handled by Johnny Simpson, winner in 1957, with Hickory Smoke. Harold Dancer Sr. and Jr., father-son combination, will be behind Delight Hanover and Rooney Hanover. One of the 5 fillies in it is matron stake winner Sprite Rodney, chauffeured by Eddie Wheeler. 1961 Little Brown Jug winner Stanley Dancer will drive Worth Seein', winner of the American National at Sportsman's Park. Well, the record crowd of 37,718 gets primed for the big Hambo, watching Del Miller and Meadow Battle win the gear stake, which is an important pacing prep for the Little Brown Jug. In the Hambletonian today, Miller will be planted in the sulky behind filly Spry Rodney. And this means Hambletonian time. The call to Silk. Old Glory never fluttered over a finer 15-horse field. Everyone is high for this race. He's the highest. Behind ex-champion Pronto Don of the ancient high-wheeled sulky come Happy Newport and Del Cameron, Double T and Jerry Landis, Barlow Hanover and Warren Cameron, OU Kid with Harry Burright, Bright Rodney and Eddie Wheeler, Safe Mission and Joey O'Brien, Worth Seein' with Span Dancer, Rooney Hanover with Harold Dancer Jr., Delight Hanover and Harold Dancer Sr., Isaac, Johnny Simpson in the sulky, Lord Gordon driven by Johnny Patterson, Spry Rodney and Del Miller, Impish and Frank Irvin, Nathaniel and Harry Pinal. And last but not least, A.C.'s Viking with Sanders Russell in the sulky. John Dale moves him in behind the gate. Happy Newport is in. Double T, Barlow Hanover. The trailer's in position. The starting gate moves forward. They're off, and Sprite Rodney breaks out of there the quickest of all. Safe Mission and A.C.'s Viking away well. Barlow Hanover's on the rail. Oh, you kid trying to move on the outside. As they hit the first turn, it's still Sprite Rodney on the lead by a half a length. Safe Mission is now second on the outside. AC's Viking is third. As they go to the turn, we're seeing his nail fourth moving up on the outside third. Impish is back there fifth. Double T is nail sixth at this point in the race. They near the quarter mark. Safe Mission is taking the lead from Sprite Rodney at the quarter in 28 4/5. We're seeing his Steel third along the rail. AC's Viking is fourth. Impish is nailed fifth. Double T is still sixth. As they go into the backstretch now, it's Safe Mission on the lead now by a length and a half. Sprite Rodney is still second. Impish begins to move. Impish is out of the 5-hole and roaring up on the outside. It's Safe Mission on top. We're seeing goes with Impish. Impish is still moving fast. As they near the halfway mark, Impish has colored the leader. They were at the half in 58 4/5, and Impish has the lead. We're seeing his second on the outside. Along the rail, Safe Mission is third. Sprite Rodney is nailed fourth. AC's Viking moving through on the inside is nailed fifth. Rooney Hanover is sixth as they come around the far turn. Barlow Hanover on the outside is seventh. As they make the far turn and head to the three-quarter, it's still Impish on the lead by a neck on the rail. On the outside, it's worth seeing second. Safe Mission is third on the inside. Sprite Rodney is still fourth. AC's Viking on the inside is fifth. Rooney Hanover is sixth. And now Spry Rodney begins to move. Isaac and Nathaniel from well back in the field start their drive. But on the front end, it's still Impish at the head of the stretch. Safe Mission on the inside is still second. We're seeing hanging on with Sprite Rodney. AC's Viking is now roaring up on the outside. Spry Rodney is looking for racing room. Spry Rodney all over the racetrack. And there's AC's Viking going for the lead. Impish is all through. It's AC's Viking. Safe Mission is getting up in time for second. Spry Rodney was trying to come on there for third, but wound up fourth. And the time of the mile was 1:59 3/5. A perfect journey for the Viking and a perfect drive for that master handler of young trotting horses, Sanders Russell, a southern gentleman from Stevenson, Alabama. Safe Mission and Impish were beaten by over a length. Injured in a racing mishap in late July, Sanders Russell vowed then that he would still drive in the Hambletonian one way or another. In addition to wearing a tennis shoe and a light cast on the injured foot, Sanders equipped his sulky stirrup with some light padding upon which he rested his ankle during the drive. Well, that was a really tough mile. And the other 14 entries know that the next mile will be even tougher because this time the Viking gets the rail. AC's Viking looks dead ready for the second heat, too. Double T finished 14th in the first heat, but he, like the rest, are eager to try it again. Impish and Spry Rodney have earned post positions 3 and 4 for this next getaway. The Vikings set sail. All right, they're all in behind the gate. AC's Vikings, Safe Mission, Impish, and Spry Rodney. They're the first four to come charging out of the gate. As they're off, Impish and Spry Rodney break out of there with a rush. AC's Viking goes to the rail. Safe Mission is off stride. Sprite Rodney is on the move. As they go into that first turn, it's Impish on top. Spry Rodney along the rail is second. AC's Viking is third. Sprite Rodney is on the move. Isaac is nailed fifth and moving between horses. And Happy Newport and Barlow Hanover. As they go over to the quarter mark, it's Impish on top. Spry Rodney is nailed second. Barlow Hanover made a break. As they near the quarter mark, it's Sprite Rodney moving up on the outside. Impish has the lead. Sprite Rodney is moving for the lead now at the quarter in 30 flat. Isaac also moving up, nailed fourth. Isaac is nailed third. It's Sprite Rodney on top. Impish is nailed second. Isaac on the outside is nailed third. As they go to the turn, we're seeing is nailed fourth on the outside. They move down the back stretch and Isaac takes the lead. Sprite Rodney is nailed second. Impish is nailed third. Spry Rodney is fourth. We're seeing is nailed fifth. AC's Viking is sixth. As they near the halfway mark, it's Isaac on the lead. Lord Gordon begins to move. As they come to the far turn, it's still Isaac. Isaac on the lead now. Around the turn, Impey takes over, and Lord Gordon is roaring up on the outside. Nail fifth, Nail fourth, Nail third. And Lord Gordon and Worth-Seeing are both moving fast. There's three of them fighting for that lead as they come to the turn. Worth-Seeing shows in front by a neck. Lord Gordon on the outside is Nail second. Impey is third. Isaac is fourth on the rail. A.C.'s Viking is Nail fifth. As they come on that far turn, Rooney Hanover coming up on the outside is sixth, but not moving strong enough at this point. Lord Gordon seems to be in front as they head for home. Impey is on the rail. A.C.'s Viking is coming on the outside. Sprite Rodney is the horse over there on the rail. Spry Rodney is trying to come on. Isaac looking for racing room. It is Impey still hanging on the inside. Lord Gordon and A.C.'s Viking roars up on the outside, and Isaac is hanging on gamely. It's A.C.'s Viking and Isaac. It's going to be between those two as they hit the wire. A.C.'s Viking and Isaac in a photo finish. The three-quarter time, 1:30 in the mile, a sizzling 2 minutes. Viking wins by a head, his own handsome head, and the driving head of 62-year-old Sanders Russell, the oldest driver by far in today's great 3-year-old trotting classic. This is the first Hambletonian victory for the popular Russell after 47 years of driving harness horses. On the Mr. and Mrs. Andrew C. Peterson of West Hartford, Connecticut, the Viking's victory was especially sweet since he is a homebred. His sire was Hootmon, and his dam was the Peterson's own Polo AC by Nibble Hanover. This colorful triumph was his 12th win in 13 starts this year. Pomp and ceremony now take over in Victory Lane, which isn't near large enough to hold all the close friends of Sanders Russell and the Petersons. Illinois Governor Otto Kerner is among those present. Mrs. Russell joins the group. She, like Sanders, is a native of Stevenson, Alabama, a delightful little southern town located just off the road between Chattanooga and Birmingham. Mrs. Peterson now shares the Hambletonian Cup, while the Viking, his work done, seems more intent on the oat bin than the winning check of $62,854.92. More laurels come to Mr. Russell and the Petersons via Lawrence B. Shepard, Gene Hayes, and USTA President Walter J. Michael. On the backstretch, modern-day speed will soon deliver newspaper and television pictures of the 1962 Hambletonian to servicing points in St. Louis. But the modern-day speed they'll be talking about for months to come was the one-horsepower job exhibited today by the powerful Viking, who sailed into the Hambletonian sunset, leaving the wreckage of a 15-horse field in his devastating wake.
A panorama of beauty and excitement unfolds again at DuQuoin, Illinois, as the 1963 Hambletonian brings together some of the swiftest trotting horses in the history of harness racing. The glamorous DuQuoin State Fairgrounds is a fitting showcase for this tradition-laden racing classic. quiet before the storm in the stable area. Out front, the storm of 42,000 fans has already begun. And the nation's press is hard at work, accumulating the following items. Cripple Joe O'Brien will drive anyway. Cheer Honey might be the 11th filly to win, but Speedy Scott is the heavy favorite. B.F. Coaltown takes oxygen for a breathing ailment. Matastar goes in a time trial. Captain's Boy and Dorado have winning form. So does Glidden Hanover. And this is what B.F. Coaltown will look like to driver Carl Larson. Illinois Governor Otto Kerner again joins the throng. The big crowd warms up by watching the Gears Stake, a pacing preview of the Little Brown Jug. And Overtrick holds on to win against the stretch rush of Meadow Russ. The time, 1:58 1/5. The Stars and Stripes wave proudly over a Hambletonian field of 14, the cream of the country's 3-year-old trotters. Here's the lineup for the first heat of the demanding $116,000 battle. 1 is Glidden Hanover with driver Eddie Wheeler. 2, Choir Boy with Keith Waples. 3, Speedy Scott and Ralph Baldwin. 4, Captain's Boy, Del Cameron driving. 5 is Careless Hanover with Joe Marsh Jr. Number 6, Filter and Tom Graham. 7, Florless and Harry Pinal. 8 is Cheer Honey with Frank Urban. 9, Dorado Town with Carl Larson up. 11, Digsdale and Van Carter. 12 is Buff Hanover with Johnny Patterson. 13, Star Act to be driven by Joe O'Brien. And 14, Elma with Johnny Simpson Jr. driving. John Dale eases them up to the starting gate, and here they come. The Hambletonian field on its way. They're off and trotting. Captain's Boy out very fast. Choir Boy on the inside. Florless driving for that lead on the outside, and Cheer Honey moving right along with him. That is Florless going to the front. Cheer Honey up on the outside. Captain's Boy is third. B.F. Coaltown fourth. Choir Boy fifth. Speedy Scott sixth. Glidden Hanover is seventh. Elma eighth round the turn. Star Act is ninth. Careless Hanover 10th. Buff Hanover is 11th. Digsdale 12th. Dorado 13th. And Filter 14th as they fly to that quarter-mile mark. Leading the way, it is Florless by half a length, and Florless goes to the quarter-mile mark in 28 seconds. B.F. Coaltown is moving up now as they head to the backstretch. That's Florless with the lead. Cheer Honey is second, Captain's Boy third, and there goes Speedy Scott out of sixth, and B.F. Coaltown moves right along with him. Heading down the long backstretch at DuQuoin, Florless leads by 2 lengths. Here comes B.F. Coaltown, thundering up on the outside. He is second now, and Speedy Scott is moving right along and is third on the outside. As they come to the half-mile mark, that is B.F. Coaltown getting the lead by 3/4 of a length. That's the half in 58 seconds flat. Speedy Scott moves up on the outside to be second now. In third is Florless along the rail, and Cheer Honey is fourth. Speedy Scott, powering up on the outside, takes the lead to the far turn. It is Speedy Scott leading the way by a length and a half. B.F. Coaltown is second, Florless third. Cheer Honey fourth. Glidden Hanover is fifth. Captain's Boy sixth. Elma seventh as they round the turn, and Choir Boy is eighth. Digsdale ninth. Buff Hanover 10th. Star Act 11th. Careless Hanover 12th. Dorado 13th, and Filter trails the field. Ralph Baldwin has Speedy Scott in front by 2. B.F. Coaltown is second, turning for home, and Florless is out of third and driving now. But it is Speedy Scott, the one to catch at the head of the stretch. Speedy Scott trotting powerfully. Florless is driving on the outside. It is Speedy Scott by a length. Florless is coming on and collars Speedy Scott. It's Florless on the outside, Speedy Scott on the inside, and a driving finish. Florless getting up to win the first heat of the Hambletonian by a head. $157 3/5. A new world record for 3-year-old trotters by Florless, the powerful son of Florican. Owned by the Arden Homestead Stable of Goshen, New York, Flawless chopped almost a full second off Caleb's old world race mark as he beat Speedy Scott by a head. Again, Harry Panol has shown his magic touch with young trotters. Flawless's price of victory is the saliva test. Can Flawless do it again? Speedy Scott was also timed in 1:57 3/5 in that first world record heat. And now Flawless and Speedy will be 1-2 at the rail. But anything can happen in a horse race like the Hambletonian, and all 12 of the other entries are coming back for more. Second heat of the Hambletonian. Here they come. They're off and trotting. Star Act, fifth in the first heat, races for the lead from the outside with Flawless out fast on the inside. That is Star Act, Flawless, B.F. Coletown moving up fast on the outside, and moving right along with him is Choir Boy as they go into the first turn. Star Act has the lead after an eighth of a mile, Flawless second. Choir Boy between horses trotting very fast up to second now, and B.F. Coletown on the outside is third as they go to the quarter-mile mark. Going for that lead is Choir Boy. Star Act is on the inside at the quarter in 28 2/5 seconds. It is Choir Boy, Star Act, B.F. Coletown is third, Flawless fourth, Speedy Scott trotting fifth, Sheer Honey is sixth, Captain's Boy seventh, Elma is eighth, Glidden Hanover ninth, Builder 10th, Dorado 11th, Careless Hanover 12th, Buff Hanover is 13th, and Diggs Dell is 14th as they go down the backstretch. B.F. Coletown flying now is driving up to challenge Choir Boy for the lead. It is B.F. Coletown on the move, and Flawless is on the move also. Flawless drives powerfully up the half. They're in 58 3/5 seconds, and it is Flawless coming on after the lead, taking over from B.F. Coletown. And here comes Speedy Scott, moving right after Flawless as they swing round the far turn. That is Flawless leading now by 3/4 of a length. Speedy Scott up on the outside. B.F. Coletown is third. Choir Boy trotting fourth. Star Act is fifth. Sheer Honey sixth. Elma seventh. Glidden Hanover is eighth. Builder ninth. Captain's Boy 10th. Dorado is 11th. Careless Hanover, Buff Hanover, and Diggs Dell. And it's the big two. Flawless on the inside. Speedy Scott on the outside. Matching strides, head and head, neck and neck, nose and nose, turning into that stretch. Speedy Scott on the outside, Flawless on the inside. Harness Racing's two greatest three-year-olds battling it out in the second heat of the Hambletonian. Speedy Scott on the outside forges up now to lead by a head. Flawless under a heavy drive on the inside. And Speedy Scott is drawing out in the second heat. It's Speedy Scott by 3/4 of a length over Flawless. Speedy Scott and Ralph Baldwin, not to be denied by even the world record-breaking Flawless that time. The property of Castleton Farm, Speedy Scott, a son of Speedster, is a really colorful character who trots most of the time with his tongue dangling out the side of his mouth. But he can leave a few other horses with their tongues hanging out, too. And now, while the Hambletonian battlers relax for a while, the world's fastest trotting stallion, Matastar, sets out to beat the DuQuoin track record of 1 minute 57 1/5 seconds. And Harry Panol is in for still another fast ride. Matastar hits the 3/4 in the incredible time of 1:25, and another track record is gone. Matastar in 1 minute 56 2/5 seconds. Back now to the unfinished business of the Hambletonian. And if neither Flawless nor Speedy Scott wins this heat, it will be thrown into a 3-horse race-off. Sheer Honey, Careless Hanover, and Diggs Dell have now been scratched. behind the gate for the big third heat. Here they come. They're off and trotting, Flawless out fast on the inside, Captain's Boy from the outside, Speedy Scott along the rail, and on the extreme outside, B.F. Coletown as they head into that first turn. That is Flawless with the lead, but Captain's Boy is right there to challenge. B.F. Coletown moves up now to be third after the first eighth of a mile, and Speedy Scott saves ground along the rail in fourth as they go to the backstretch. Flawless has the lead by a neck. On the outside is Captain's Boy. B.F. Coletown moves up now to be third, and Speedy Scott is fourth past the quarter in 28 3/5 seconds. Flawless has the lead. Captain's Boy moves up. Speedy Scott is third. B.F. Coletown out of fourth. Elma fifth on the outside. Buck Hanover sixth. Star Act is seventh. Filter is eighth. Dorado ninth. Glidden Hanover 10th. And Choir Boy is 11th as they race down the backstretch going to the half-mile mark. Captain's Boy has the lead now by half a length. But B.F. Coletown, a front racing factor in all three heats, is up 1 second for the lead at the half in 57 3/5 seconds. B.F. Coletown takes that lead for Carl Larson by a length. Captain's Boy is second. Here comes Flawless up on the outside in third, and Speedy Scott is right behind him in fourth. Elma fifth. Buff Hanover is sixth. Glidden Hanover seventh on the outside, moving up. Dorado is eighth. Choir Boy trotting ninth. Filter is 10th. Star Act is 11th, and it's B.F. Coletown in front by a length as Flawless makes a determined charge on the outside. Flawless moves up now for Harry Pinall to challenge B.F. Coletown for the lead. It is B.F. Coletown turning for home. They were at the three-quarters in 1:27 3/5. B.F. Coletown at the rail, Flawless coming on for the lead, and Speedy Scott comes three wide in the stretch drive. Flawless now has the lead, but here comes Speedy Scott, and Buck Hanover moves to the inside. It is Flawless under a drive as Speedy Scott races up to get the lead. Speedy Scott going out, Flawless and Buck Hanover, and it's Speedy Scott winning the third heat and the Hambletonian. The mile in 1 minute, 58 2/5 seconds. Speedy Scott and Ralph Baldwin put the finishing touches on the fastest three-heat battle ever waged. The combined total time knocks 4 major world records out of the book. Now winner of the first two legs of Trotting's Triple Crown, the Yonkers Futurity and the Hambletonian, the big bay son of Speedster and Scotch Love, seems destined to go down as one of the great trotting colts of all time. Governor Kerner, Hambletonian host Gene Hayes, Mr. Lawrence Shepard, Honorary President of the United States Trotting Association, make the presentation to owner Frederick L. Van Lennep. USTA President Walter J. Michael adds the Breeders' Award. And if Speedy Scott could look ahead, he would also see the Triple Crown, Grand Slam, and the Harness Horse of the Year award in his immediate future. Truly a day when Speedy can stick his tongue out at the rest of the racing world. The 1964 Hambletonian is just 48 hours away at DuQuoin, Illinois, and early morning workouts reach a fever pitch over this demanding and dramatic mile of broken records and broken dreams. 9 of the world's fastest trotting horses will be honed to razor's edge by race time. Ayers, with Johnny Simpson driving, will be the favorite. And Mr. Simpson tells young Johnny Jr. that Ayers is ready for the favorite's role. Almost as important as the pre-Hambletonian racetrack is the racing secretary's office, where the luck of the draw will determine positions behind the starting gate. Little Jimmy Simpson draws number 7 for Ayers. glamorous DuQuoin State Fairgrounds is a perfect stage for what is annually one of the true classics in American horse racing. And again, the southern Illinois weather is also perfect. So perfect that many of the grooms' sleeping quarters are located outside. Sports Illustrated magazine sends an artist to capture the scene. The American Broadcasting Company is here, too, to capture the same scene for its national television audience. St. Louis, 90 miles north, is the nearest large city to DuQuoin, but the Hambletonian will again attract a crowd estimated at 40,000. One of the 40,000 is band leader Skitch Henderson. Heirs, caretaker Charlie Coleman, and veteran driver Johnny Simpson are taking nothing for granted in this power-packed Hambletonian field. They're among the first to head trackward for their pre-race loosening up exercises. Hambletonian sponsor is personable, capable Don Hayes. Aided and abetted by nephew Bill, son of the late beloved Gene Hayes. Talking with Associated Press sports writer Chuck Chamberlain is the Hambletonian press corps, Frank Samuel, Chuck Flynn, and Biff Lowry. Well, the great show gets on the road with the sensational 2-year-old pacer Brett Hanover, driven by Frank Irvin, carving the McMahon Memorial Stake into straight heat wins, and victories number 15 and 16 without a defeat. A race with a real local flavor today is a $3,000 overnight trot involving young driver Don W. Hayes and his quick bay mare, Windy Skeeter. Windy Skeeter and the hard-working young Mr. Hayes get up to win the sentimental journey over Edgewood Valley and gusty Hanover. Don is the 22-year-old son of the Hambletonian sponsor, and his proud parents join him in Victory Lane. Beautiful Victory Lane is also the scene of a sorrowful occasion on this 39th Hambletonian day. Gene Hayes served the sport he loved long and well, but not nearly long enough, the eulogy read. And the plaque presented to the Hayes family by Harness Racing Institute stressed the inspiration of his leadership, the strength and stature he lent to the growth and prestige of American harness racing. The Hambletonian stake today will carry a purse of $115,281. And the 9 great 3-year-old trotters competing for a share of that prize have already accumulated a combined total of $300,500 in earnings thus far during the 1964 season. Once again, the Hambletonian is one of the richest of races for the richest of horses. Ayers was branded as an extremely headstrong horse last year, particularly after one temperamental afternoon at Delaware, Ohio, when he suddenly pulled out of the race and headed straight for the barn. There's been no such cutting up this season, however, as his record of 8 victories and 9 starts indicates. The post-parade for the Hambletonian first heat. Dartmouth with driver Ralph Baldwin. Speedy Count with Billy Houghton. Big John with Eddie Wheeler. Scribe Rodney, Bruce Nichols up. Sasebo with Jim Hackett. Rainwater and Del Manges. Ayers, Johnny Simpson driving. Speedy Rodney with Billy Shooter and Bedevil with Bobby Camper. In a final score is Speedy Count, the number 2 favorite. The notional Ayers gets ready for his race with another horse keeping him close company up front. Big John does the honors here. Starter John Dale eases the field in behind his big mobile starting gate, and we're ready for the first heat of the Hambletonian. Here they come. They're off and trotting, moving out fast. Dartmouth and Speedy Count. Ayers skips off stride briefly at the start, back on stride quickly as Big John moves up along the rail to be third. Going into that first turn. Leading the way, it's Dartmouth by 2 lengths. Speedy Count is second. Big John third and neck on the inside. Speedy Rodney moving up fourth on the outside, and Ayers is fifth. Bedevil sixth, Sasebo seventh, Scribe Rodney is eighth, and Rainwater. Speedy Count roars out of second, goes up now to challenge Dartmouth for the lead. Into the quarter-mile mark, Speedy Count in front by a length. Dartmouth second, they're at the quarter in 28 and 4/5 seconds, and here comes Speedy Rodney, charging up on the outside to challenge Speedy Count for the lead. Billy Shooter up on the outside now with Speedy Rodney going for and getting the lead as they enter the backstretch. That is Speedy Rodney in front by a length and 3/4. Speedy Count is second by 2 lengths. Dartmouth trotting third as they go to the half-mile mark. Big John is fourth, Ayers fifth, the Devil is sixth, Sasebo trotting seventh, Scribe Rodney eighth, and Rainwater is ninth. Going into the half-mile mark, they reach the half in 57 and 3/5 seconds, and it's Speedy Rodney showing the way in the first heat of the Hambletonian. Speedy Count is second, Dartmouth trotting third, Big John is fourth as they swing round the far turn, and Ayers is fifth. Big Devil sixth, and they're coming to the 3/4 with Speedy Rodney in front by 2. It's Speedy Rodney, Speedy Count second, Dartmouth third, Big John, and here comes Ayers at the 3/4-mile mark. Ayers is out and driving now, but Speedy Rodney flashes past the 3/4, reaching that station in 1:27 and 3/5. Turning into the stretch, Speedy Rodney has the lead. Here comes Speedy Count out of second, thundering up now on the outside, and Ayers is flying now as they enter the stretch. It's Speedy Rodney still showing the way. Speedy Count coming on. Ayers on the extreme outside is coming after that lead, and Big John's coming with him. Ayers gets the lead in the mid-stretch. Big John flying on the outside. It's Ayers and Big John in the first heat of the Hambletonian. Ayers wins it a length. Big John second, and Speedy Count is third. A blistering 1 minute 56 and 4/5 for Ayers, tying the world trotting record of Speedy Scott and obliterating the old Hambletonian record of 1:57 and 3/5 by Florless in 1963. Ayers made a bobble, a few noticeable missteps just after leaving the starting gate. And as Johnny Simpson tells the press, he had every reason to go off stride. But Ayers did not go off stride. And the first heat of the 1964 Hambletonian is his, in world record time. A horse must win 2 heats before this huge crowd will see the Hambletonian winner crowned in victory lane. But Simpson reports that he now thinks Ayers is ready to send the crowd home early. Houghton assures that Speedy Count, for one, isn't conceding anything. And neither are the other 7 entries conceding anything. They're all coming back for more, even with Ayers now moving into the rail position by virtue of his first heat victory. Each of these fine 3-year-old trotters has the credentials to spring an upset, as proved in that first heat when Big John, Speedy Count, Dartmouth, the Devil, and Scribe Rodney all were clocked in 1 minute 59 seconds or better. Here they are for the second time around. Dartmouth and Ralph Baldwin, Speedy Count and Billy Houghton, Big John with Eddie Wheeler, Stripe Rodney and Bruce Nichols, Sasebo and Jim Hackett, Rainwater, Del Manjusup, Ayers and Johnny Simpson, Speedy Rodney with Billy Shooter, and Bedevil with Bobby Camper. Field is in behind the John Dale starting gate for the second heat of the Hambletonian, and here they come. Here off and trotting, Ayers moves out fast with Speedy Count for the lead, Dartmouth in the middle of the track, and Rainwater racing out from the extreme outside into contention at the start. As they swing around the first turn, it is Ayers leading the way. Speedy Count is second. Big John drops in third at the rail. Rainwater on the outside is fourth. Dartmouth, knifing between horses now, moves up to third as they go to the quarter. It is Speedy Count leading by half a length. Dartmouth going up to challenge him for the lead. Racing third is Ayers at the rail. Rainwater is fourth on the outside, and Big John is fifth. Going past the quarter-mile mark in 29 1/5 seconds, and the leader is Dartmouth by a length and three-quarters. Speedy Count is second. Rainwater on the outside, Ayers along the rail. Sasebo moving up now on the outside. Big John's fifth, and Sasebo is sixth. As they go down the back stretch with Speedy Rodney seventh, but Speedy Count takes out a second and goes for the lead once again. Going into the half-mile mark, Speedy Count regains the lead. Dartmouth is second. Ayers third on the inside. Up on the outside, Sasebo is flying 3 horses wide. They reach the half in 59 and 3/5 seconds. Speedy Count leads the way, and Sasebo has moved up to be second on the outside. Racing third is Dartmouth as they come round the turn. Speedy Rodney's on the move now, too. Coming to the 3/4-mile mark is Speedy Count with the lead. Sasebo is second. Dartmouth is third. Here comes Ayers in fourth, and Big John's following him in fifth. Speedy Rodney is sixth on the outside as they come to the 3/4-mile mark. The leader is Speedy Count by 2 lengths. Dartmouth is second along the inside, and Ayers is on the move now. They went to the 3/4 in 1:29 1. Turning for home, the leader is Speedy Count. Ayers moves up now to make his bid, and Dartmouth coming between horses. It is Speedy Count on the outside, Ayers, and Dartmouth third, and Big John moves up fourth. Speedy Count's under urging. Ayers is coming for the lead, and Big John is coming with him. It is Ayers and Big John on the outside. Ayers and Big John in the second heat, and Ayers wins the Hambletonian by half a length. 1:58 1/5 in a brand new 2-heat Hambletonian record for this great trotting son of Star's Prize. Owned and bred by Mrs. Charlotte N. Shepard of Hanover, Pennsylvania, Ayers gives Johnny Simpson his second Hambletonian victory. Johnny's first was behind Hickory Smoke in 1957. Ayers also makes Mrs. Shepard, wife of Lawrence B. Shepard, the first lady owner ever to send a homebred winner to the Hambletonian. Illinois Governor Otto Kerner is on hand to present the handsome Hambletonian trophy to Mr. Shepard. And along with that trophy, of course, goes a check for $56,487. Ayers' 2-year earnings now have reached $191,000. Mrs. Simpson joins the happy group. And even Ayers wants to take a closer look at that beautiful piece of silverware. In the stands, a radiant Mrs. Shepard receives congratulations from her daughter, Mrs. Patricia Williams, on the right, Mrs. Simpson, and a close friend, Mrs. B. Howard. Mrs. Shepard is truly the first lady of the racing world on this historic afternoon in DuQuoin. And so another Hambletonian takes its place in history alongside other great sporting events that have produced immortal champions and monumental performances. Now the winner of both the Yonkers Futurity and the Hambletonian, Ayers will go on from here to sweep the Triple Crown of trotting in the Kentucky Futurity. The black beauty of young trotters in 1964, Ayers stands alone at the head of his class.
royal blue of harness racing's mighty grand circuit waves in a summer breeze at DuQuoin, Illinois. And in this section of the land, it means only one thing: the American trotting horse at its very best in the glamorous, prestigious Hambletonian stake. 1968 is the year of a super horse, Neville Pride. And he and the Hambletonian have been on a collision course ever since the great colt swept top harness racing honors as a 2-year-old. The day before the Hambletonian, caretaker Andy Murphy analyzes his fleet but exceedingly eccentric trotter.
Well, my opinion of Neville Pride, and the 2 years I've been with him, I've come to the conclusion that he's just a big show-off, a big playful colt. He's high-spirited. He has, once occasionally, a little mean streak in him, but most generally he's just playing with you. Once in a while he'd get nippy and kicking, one thing and another, but just a big show-off. As far as eating habits, he's the same as any other horse. He gets no special feed. He's a wonderful eater. That's why he looks so good. Maybe I give him a little bit more than other horses get. I don't know, but he just is a wonderful doer, a wonderful eater. Well, on the racetrack, he is a perfect-mannered colt. I say most of the time. Once in a while, he gets a little idea in his head he'd like to take a nip out of some other horse or driver on the track, but that's only occasion. He really don't mean it. Winner's Circle is something else. Gets up in front of the cameras, and like I say, being a show-off, he really puts on an act lately.
Harness Racing's colorful bad boy, winner of 37 of 41 starts, has captured the fancy of race fans everywhere. And today, above all, he's Mr. Box Office himself. Will the rest of the Hambletonian field have a chance? Let's find out.
Well, we're talking about a great horse. There's no question about Neville Pride being a great horse, and of course the Hambletonian's a great race. I've seen a lot of Hambletonians and drove a lot of Hambletonians. I've seen a lot of upsets. But from what I've seen of Neville's Pride, as a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, I don't think the other horses can beat him. They might be an upset in this one tomorrow, but then, in my estimation, I think that Emily Pride's one of her great trotters of all time. And if he's all right, I don't think that they'll be able to beat him.
Well, the old saying goes, anything can happen in a horse race. And I always hope that a big race like this, there's no mishaps, and the best horse will eventually win, and usually happens, especially going 2 heats. I think the big race will be really to see who will get in behind and follow Neville Pride, because I imagine he'll be at the front past the quarter pole. I've got a nice leaving horse. He's a nice race horse, but he hadn't beaten even the second and third horse too many times this year. Dart Hanover, especially a fast leaving horse, and Snow Speed, especially a fast leaving horse. They both trot all the time. Most all the horses do stay on the trot good. I think it'll be a real good horse race.
Well, they're going to have a tough job to beat Neville's Pride. I believe that the people this year are going to see that one of the greatest trotters that ever lived, Neville's Pride, driven by Stanley Dancer. I don't think that there's any horse that can compete with him. Barring all accidents, Neville's Pride will win the Hambletonian in straight heats.
Well, outside of Neville Pride, I think it's going to be a big race. Naturally, everybody likes to see the best horse win. And I think Neville Pride's been the best. He's proved that. And I'd like to see Neville Pride win it just because he's been the best right down the line.
Well, that's how some of the nation's top drivers feel about Neville Pride and the 1968 Hambletonian. But on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in late August, a near-capacity crowd will turn out to see for itself. A dangerous challenger today is Snow Speed, winner of the big American National at Sportsman's Park 2 weeks ago, and the pride of Castleton Farm. Dart Hanover was third in the $150,000 Yonkers Futurity. Coleman is a handsome son of Speedster, who produced Hambletonian winners Speedy Scott and Speedy Streak. Keystone Starlet, fast, formidable, and one of 2 fillies in the 9-horse field. Now the slow-motion symmetry of Neville Pride, the easy, effortless power which in 1967 made him the first 2-year-old trotter ever to win the Harness Horse of the Year award. Driven, trained, and humored by Stanley Dancer.
everything in readiness now, including Hambletonian proprietor Bill Hayes and two of the prettiest railbirds in captivity, Ann Roberts of Western Harness and blonde Cheryl Miller of the popular Doctari television series. Australian broadcaster Bruce Skaggs ensures that coverage of this racing classic will again be a global affair. Mothers get ready to leave their children behind, and the ageless Hayes Fair Acres gelding, Pronto Don, driven today by Press Genuine, tells the huge crowd that it is indeed Hambletonian time. Last one out is Neville Pride. He's drawn the extreme outside post. Post Parade, first heat of the 1968 Hambletonian. Keystone Spartan, driver Del Miller. Carolyn Sue, driven by Jerry Coleman. Dart Hanover, Saunders Russell up. Snowspeed, Ralph Baldwin up. Master Yankee with Jim Lorentz. Coleman, driver Jerry Graham. Keystone Starlet, driver Joe O'Brien. Larengo Hanover, Bill Houghton up. And Neville Pride, handled by Stanley Dancer.
Harness Racing's 9 fastest 3-year-old trotters move in behind the starting gate for the first heat of the Hambletonian. Here they come. A rough and trotting Dart Hanover is first away. Neville Pride from the outside, driving hard for the lead, and Snowspeed off stride at the start. Neville Pride from 9th post position roars to the front and opens a quick 3 lengths around the first turn. In second is Dart Hanover. Keystone Spartan is third. Carolyn Sue trotting in fourth, and Master Yankee fifth. Keystone Starlet is sixth. Coleman seventh. Larengo Hanover eighth. And Snowspeed trailing after that early miscue. As they move over to the quarter-mile mark, Stanley Dancer takes Neville Pride to a 4-length lead in 29 1/5 seconds. It's Neville Pride out in front, turning into the backstretch by 3.5 lengths. In second, Dart Hanover, 1.5 lengths. Keystone Spartan third by 3 lengths. Trotting fourth is Carolyn Sue down the backstretch. Master Yankee is fifth. Keystone Starlet sixth. Larengo Hanover begins to move up from seventh. Coleman is eighth, and Snowspeed trails the field. That's Neville Pride, 2.5 lengths in front, moving down the mid-backstretch. In second, Dart Hanover, 1.5 lengths. Keystone Spartan is third. Racing up fourth on the outside at the half-mile mark is Larengo Hanover, and Carolyn Sue is now fifth. Master Yankee, sixth. Keystone Starlet is seventh. Around the far turn, Neville Pride, 2 lengths in front. Dart Hanover is strong second by 1 3/4 lengths. Keystone Spartan is third, 1 length, and Larengo Hanover is now fourth. In fifth is Carolyn Sue. Coleman sixth on the outside, moving up. But it's Neville Pride by 3 now as they move over to the 3/4-mile mark. Neville Pride passed the 3/4 in 1:31 4/5, and he turns for home 4 lengths in front. Neville Pride leads the field in the Hambletonian first heat into the stretch. Neville Pride by 3. Dart Hanover second. Keystone Spartan coming on. They're in the final 1/8 of a mile, and the leader is Neville Pride by 4. Stanley Dancer looks back. Neville Pride looks forward, draws away by 5 lengths, and wins the first heat of the Hambletonian by 4 lengths. Eased up for Stan Dancer in 1:59 3/5.
The great Neville Pride, never being pushed and still cruising the mile in 1:59 3/5. And for Stanley Dancer, who has won just about everything in harness racing excepting the Hambletonian, it's time to relax, just a little. He's halfway home with a colt that looks downright invincible. Neville Pride tolerates a quick bath without trying to eat the sponge, but he does have a few choice words for all blankety-blank photographers who invade his privacy. Despite Neville Pride's domination in the first go-around, there'll be no dropouts for the second heat. Second money is worth over $28,000 today, and third money is over $13,500. Neville Pride moves from 9th post to the rail for the second mile.
The field moves in behind the starting gate for the second heat of the Hambletonian, with Neville Pride down along the rail, and his 8 rivals fanned out next to him. And here they come. Aroff and trotting, Neville Pride on the inside takes the lead. Snow Speed out fast, Keystone Spartan, Keystone Starlet, and from the outside, Carolyn Sue. Around that first turn, Neville Pride 2 lengths in front. Keystone Spartan second, Carolyn Sue driving up on the outside from 9th post, now moves into second. Keystone Spartan is third, and Snow Speed is off stride once again. Moving over to the quarter-mile mark, Neville Pride with a 2-length lead. Carolyn Sue second, they're past the quarter in 28 1/5 seconds. On to the backstretch, Neville Pride leads a length and a quarter. In second, Carolyn Sue by 2 lengths, and in third, Keystone Spartan. Dart Hanover trotting fourth, Larengo Hanover is fifth. Keystone Starlet racing sixth down the backstretch. Master Yankee is seventh. Coleman is trotting eighth, and Snow Speed trails. They're moving to the half-mile mark with Neville Pride out in front by 2.5 lengths. Carolyn Sue is second by 2 lengths. In third, it's Keystone Spartan. Past the half-mile mark in 1 minute flat, Neville Pride, trotting easily, leads the way by 3 lengths. Carolyn Sue is second by 3, and Keystone Spartan third. Dart Hanover fourth, Larengo Hanover is fifth. Keystone Starlet sixth, Master Yankee seventh. Coleman is eighth, and Snow Speed ninth, and Neville Pride pours it on. He's now in front by 4 lengths and widening out without effort. It is Neville Pride leading now by 5.5 lengths around the turn to the 3/4 mile mark. Neville Pride past the 3/4 in 1:30 and 4/5. Here comes Keystone Spartan, moves up now past the tiring Carolyn Sue. It is Neville Pride at the head of the stretch. He's in front by 7 lengths. Keystone Spartan is second. Racing in third is Dart Hanover, and Larengo Hanover is fourth. In the final 1/8 of a mile, Neville Pride is drawing away. He has opened 7 lengths on the field. Neville Pride coming to the wire, cruising by 5.5 lengths. Keystone Spartan second, Dart Hanover third, Larengo Hanover fourth, Master Yankee fifth, a mile in 1:59 2/5.
And Neville Pride's straight heat Hambletonian victory was so devastating that he never saw another horse in front of him at any time on either trip. Far behind him, but still on their way to the bank, were Keystone Spartan and Dart Hanover with second and third money respectively. Owned by Ben and Julia Slutsky's Neville Acre Stable in the Catskills and by Louis Resnick of Ellenville, New York, Neville Pride is a Stars Pride colt out of the Hootman mare, Thankful. He was purchased privately for $20,000 as a yearling by the Neville Acre Stable, and his Hambletonian victory today pushes his earnings well past the $500,000 mark. When this colt eats cigarettes and caretaker's fingers for breakfast, he's likely establishing a whole new trend in horse nutrition. Winner already of the Yonkers Futurity, Neville Pride will go on from here to win the Kentucky Futurity and thus the Triple Crown of Trotting. Only Scott Frost, Speedy Scott, and Ayers have accomplished this in the past. Well, it's a great day for Stanley Dancer, too. This classic has been a real will-o'-the-wisp for him.
Stanley, your first Hambletonian victory, how does it compare with some of the other big ones? Well, this is the biggest thrill of my life. I win bigger races, but this is the biggest to me. In comparison, how about the horse? How's Neville Pride? Well, I think he's the greatest horse I ever had. There's any doubt in my mind, and we'll find out a little later on. We'll set him going. But he's a great horse. Congratulations, Stan. Thank you.
Neville Pride, rated by many as the very possible successor to Greyhound in the trotting world record books. Today, he did nothing to change their mind. How was Lindy's Pride making out? Every trotter didn't prove a threat to Lindy, but there are 5 great classics for 3-year-old trotters in America. And for every headache in sick day, there are trotters such as Armbro Jet, The Prophet, Diane, and Smoky Moore, who figure to pose quite a different type headache to Lindy's Pride. Challenging Yonkers Winners Raceway in New York provided the first big challenge for the sleek young trotting horse of the Lomanginos and Anunnakis. It was the $100,000 Yonkers Futurity in early summer, and a field of 10 horses, including the likes of Diane, the Prophet, Neville Major, Narden's Gablade, and Bonfire Hanover, were on hand to see what Lindy was all about. They quickly found out what Lindy was all about. The mile came and went in 2:03. The winner's circle would soon become known as the natural habitat for the Lomanginos and Anunnakis. Driver Howard Beisinger still took no chances with the rich and prestigious Hambletonian stake at DuQuoin, Illinois in late August. He had Lindy's Pride on the scene and working out on the Swift Mile Oval a full 2 weeks ahead of time. Lindy not only got to know the track, he must have fallen in love with it. Not really pushed anywhere along the way, he still cruised the mile in a blistering time of 1:57 3/5, while 30,000 non-betting fans went wild. Prophet finished second, Diane third, and the second heat would be virtually an instant replay.
Here they come. A-Rock and trotting Diane out fast, the Prophet down along the rail, Lindy's Pride. Diane going for the lead, and in close quarters, the Prophet is off stride. Diane with the lead, Lindy's Pride second, Armbro's Jet in third. Off stride is the Prophet, and moving up on the outside in the fourth now is Smoky Morn. Over to the quarter-mile mark, Diane leads the way by 3 lengths. Racing in second is Lindy's Pride, Armbro's Jet trotting in third as they go to the backstretch. It is Diane out in front. Turning for home, the leader Diane, but Lindy's Pride drives up on the outside to challenge the head of the stretch. Lindy's Pride coming on, Diane down along the inside. Armbro Jet trotting third, the Prophet is Smoky Morn. It's Diane on the inside, Lindy's Pride on the outside. Armbro Jet third. Through the stretch, Diane down on the inside, but Lindy's Pride coming on. And it's Lindy's Pride winning the Hambletonian, the mile in 1:58 and 2/5.
One of the most colorful of harness racing's newer big stake races is the $100,000 Colonial at beautiful Liberty Bell Park in Philadelphia. It would be here that Lindy would strike his next blow for freedom from comparison. This sweet land of Liberty Bell, a gigantic crowd turned out to watch one of the swiftest animals to come up the pike since Paul Revere.
There they go. A-Rock Van Trotting driving out on the inside, Lindy's Pride, Crane Hanover from the outside, and the Prophet between horses.
Again, it was Lindy's Pride and Beisinger very content with the 3 and 4 hole, knowing full well what they could do when the strategic time came to do it.
Diane leading the way as they turn for home. The Prophet trotting second. Lindy's Pride moves up now as they head for home with Diane in front by a length and a half. It is Diane, the Prophet, and here comes Lindy's Pride on the outside. Lindy's Pride thunders up, now takes the lead. The Prophet moving right with him, and Diane down along the rail. Lindy's Pride draws out in the stretch. The Prophet coming on with him now second. Diane third on the inside. Lindy's Pride, the Prophet, and Diane in the Colonial.
The winners of the Revolutionary War were not much more popular than this super American trotting horse on this night in Philadelphia. After the Colonial, Lindy's Pride was sent to Lexington, Kentucky, to try for the oldest of all major prizes in harness racing, the historic Kentucky Futurity. Here in the heart of the bluegrass, in the loveliness of fall, there occurred the traditional annual gathering of the clan. Before the people who spoke his language best, Lindy would be at his best. The land of good bourbon, beautiful women, and Lindy's Pride. Lindy's Pride draws the number 3 post for the Kentucky Classic. Today, Beisinger will be closely watching the new challenger in the 6th slot. It's the hard luck colt Gunrunner, driven by veteran Earl Avery. A real flash is getting away from starting gate, but scratched at both Yonkers and DuQuoin.
On the back stretch, going to the half-mile mark, Gunrunner leads the way. Armbruster Jet along the inside, up on the outside, Lindy's Pride. Lindy's Pride challenging Gunrunner for the lead. Neville Major following Lindy's Pride down the back stretch. Armbruster Jet down along the rail. In the stretch, the Gunrunner is offside, and Armbruster Jet has stepped in his wheels. Smoky Lauren also offside. A collision down there at the head of the stretch as Lindy's Pride drives for the wire, leading with Neville Major coming on. It's Lindy's Pride and Neville Major second, but Lindy's Pride leads the way by 3 lengths in the first heat of the Kentucky Futurity.
Another typical victory for Lindy in the first heat of the Futurity, and a clocking to match the long, long tradition of the Big Red Mile. Lindy's second mile, the Telltale Mile in the $65,000 Kentucky Futurity, will be as steady and trustworthy as the old folks at home, as smooth as the golden liquid which has made Kentucky famous. This rhythmic 159 3/5 mile can almost be set to music. Lexington, Kentucky is a warm, friendly place anyway. Today, thanks to Lindy's Pride, a horse for all seasons and all sections, several jubilant families from far-off New York experience the ultimate in Southern hospitality. Today and forever, Lexington can be the home away from home for the Lomanginos and the Antonaccis. Today, if not before, they have arrived in the grand old sport of harness racing. Well, this left Lindy with only one more race to win for a sweep of Trotting's Big Five. The race was the $173,000 Dexter Cup at Roosevelt Raceway.
Here they come. A Ross Van Trotting driving out for that lead. Diane out very fast. Gunrunner on the outside. Lindy's Pride third down along the rail, and Train Hanover. Around the turn, and Diane's offside as Gunrunner takes the lead. Gunrunner
becoming only the second horse in history ever to sweep the Big Five of trotting. Neville Pride, a year older than Lindy's Pride, and like Lindy, a son of trotting super stallion Star's Pride, did it a year before. Lindy's Pride, a $20,000 purchase, following thus far in the hoofprints of the greatest trotter ever to set 4 feet on a racetrack, Neville Pride. Speaking of Neville Pride, just what might he have been doing during this year of Lindy and Laverne? Well, old Neville Pride was busy with a big project of his own at Indianapolis that late summer. He had one important job to do before he retired from the racetrack. And driver Stanley Dancer had picked this as the time and place for it. Neville Pride was out to beat the trotting record set by the immortal greyhound 31 years earlier. There it is, a spectacular 154 4/5, and Greyhound's previously untouchable record is finally laid to rest. Neville Pride reigns supreme among the trotters. And so, it was another year to remember in harness racing. There were many other individual champions along the way, but it was the heroic likes of Lindy and Laverne and Neville Pride which made it special. Wherever infinity is in speed... This is Earl Flora. The night before the 1970 Hambletonian, within the carnival atmosphere of the DuQuoin State Fair, Stan Bergstein and I had the opportunity to sit down with several of the drivers and discuss the big race shaping up for the next afternoon.
Stan Dancer, how big a thrill is it to have that boy sitting alongside of you driving in the Hambletonian?
Well, this is a great thrill. I'll probably be more nervous with him driving into it than I would as if he wasn't. But it's a great thrill to have my son driving in the race. It seems like yesterday he was sitting on my lap.
Ronnie, at 12, you were only interested in showing pigeons. Now at 21, you're one of the youngest drivers ever to drive in the Hambletonian. When did you get the harness racing bug?
Well, it wasn't until I was in high school that I really got interested working during the summers with the horses. And I also got out from under my father's wing and worked for Del Cameron. So I was really about 14, 15 when I started working with the horses. But prior to that, it wasn't that. I followed them, but I never worked with them.
Vernon Dancer, what's the story with Victory Star? What are your chances?
Well, we've had our problems this year with Victory Star. He's had a hock problem since we raced him in the Dexter at Roosevelt with bothering him. We got that in pretty good shape just before Vernon Downs, and then he came up with a splint, which has been bothering him ever since. I trained him here last Wednesday, and he trained real good, and I'm hoping for the best tomorrow.
Frank Irvin, this is your 16th Hambletonian. Would you say this race carries more significance than any other in the sport?
Yes, I'd compare the Hambletonian to the Kentucky Derby. With the sports world is focused in on DuQuoin, the Hambletonian every year for this one day, which they can't get with any other harness race in the United States.
Howard Beisinger, a year ago, you took the Hambletonian and the Big Five with Lindy's Pride. You said at that time you'd just taken each race one at a time. What about this year with your Hambletonian entry, Paris Air?
Well, here again, I've been taking one race at a time, and I've been hoping all season he'd be good enough to start in the Hambletonian. I don't know if he is, but he's a nice colt, and with some luck, I think he might get some money. But, it's certainly a little more relaxing this year than it was last year.
George Schulte, does relative inexperience in a colt such as your mount, Luther Hanover, play much of a part in a big field such as this?
Yeah, I think it does in the field. This big 15 colt starting, and I've got the 5-hole, and I'll have a trailer behind me. And he's just not quite handy or seasoned enough to trot with those colts out of there to take advantage of a position, or if somebody makes a break where I could move him quick to get in a place, I'll have to be real careful and just be froze on him. But I think if I'm close to the head of the stretch without having to use him too far, he can trot with about anybody's horse right now, I do believe.
Bill Houghton has won more money and more races than any driver in the history of North American harness racing, and one of the few major classics that has escaped him is the Hambletonian. This year, with probably the strongest contender he has ever had for the race in Gil Hanover, now sick and out of it, Bill looks at the race as an outsider. How does it look to you now, Bill, from the sidelines?
Well, Stan, the other day I was out here to train my horse, and I saw Timothy T. train that day, and to me, he trained exceptionally well. I won him 2 minutes and 4/5, last half of 59 and 3, and looked like he was well within himself. And as far as I can see, unless he gets in a lot of trouble, he stands out by quite a few lengths.
Bill, no one is more respected in harness racing than you, and no one has done more for the sport. What does the Hambletonian mean to you?
I think it's the ultimate objective you could have in your life as far as racing is concerned. There's other races that you could win some races, have a first value of $300,000. I don't think you could feel as well as you would if you win Hambletonian. You get a thing like this, you know. I'm kind of proud of that. I think it's the ultimate thing in your profession.
Do any of the others have a chance to upset Timothy T?
Jimmy's got a colt in there called Formal Notice, and they timed him in 2 minutes in fraction at Lordson Park last week. Jimmy really thinks this is a great horse. And Jimmy's not he's a little, as I say, a little conservative, and I think he's a nice colt, but I think it's just it's the little bit the luck of the draw, and anybody's got a chance outside of Timothy T. I think he is the best horse in the race.
And so, Hambletonian Day, 1970, a day when one of the largest fields in the Classics history, 15 horses, will go for the second highest purse ever, nearly $144,000. Fifth money itself will total more than $7,000, and even in the world of horses, that ain't hay. Timothy T., a Fleet Brown son of a former Hambletonian winner, Ayers, is the heavy favorite here at DuQuoin, Illinois today, but in the heavy traffic of 15 great trotting horses, anything can happen. The stiffest competition is expected to come from Fairbanks Hanover, winner of the Arden Downs and Greenwood Stakes, Clayt Hanover, victorious in the Reynolds Memorial, Neville Rascal, winner of the historic Dickerson, and such other consistently strong performers as Victory Star, Flower Child, Formal Notice, and Speedy Spin. This is the 45th year for the Hambletonian Trotting Classic, dating way back to 1926 when Guy McKinney won the first one. Since that time, the Hambletonian's Victory Lane has showcased such immortal trotters as Greyhound, Rosalind, Bill Gallen, Hoot Mon, Scott Frost, Hickory Smoke, Speedy Scott, Ayers, and Neville Pride. And here they come, the finest 3-year-old trotters in all the land. Clayt Hanover with driver Stanley Dancer. Flower Child with Hugh Partial up. Flynn Hanover, handled by Bill Rout. Neville Rascal with 21-year-old Ronnie Dancer. Luther Hanover and George Schulte. Speedy Spin, pulling the veteran Frank Irvin. The Consort with Jimmy Laurent. Victory Star, driver Vernon Dancer. Timothy T., John Simpson Jr. in the sulky. Formal Notice with Jimmy Arthur up. Paris Air, handled by Howard Beisinger. Arden Owl, Ned Bauer in the bite. Gallant Prince and Del Cameron. Fairbanks Hanover, driver Delvin Miller. And Quick Trick, driven by Willard Mikesell. Clayt Hanover with the rail in this first heat of the Hambletonian, the favorite Timothy T. out wide at the 9 post.
Here they come in the first heat of the 1970 Hambletonian. Off and trotting, moving out fast, Neville Rascal, Clayt Hanover down along the inside. Neville Rascal and Clayt Hanover, Paris Air third, Victory Star fourth on the outside, Flynn Hanover is fifth. Racing sixth is Flower Child, Fairbanks Hanover's off stride. There goes Luther Hanover up on the outside with a rush as they go to the quarter. Victory Star drives to the front, leads by a length. Neville Rascal is second. Racing in third is Clayt Hanover, Luther Hanover fourth on the outside. Paris Air, fifth at the quarter. Flynn Hanover is sixth. Speedy Spin is seventh. Flower Child is eighth. Racing in ninth is Timothy T. on the outside. Then in 10th comes Arden Owl with Gallant Prince 11th going down the backstretch. Quick Trick is 12th. Racing in 13th is the Consort. Formal Notice is 14th. Going to the half-mile mark, Victory Star leads by a length. Luther Hanover is second on the outside. Neville Rascal third along the inside. The first quarter was in 29 and 4/5 seconds. They move past the half-mile mark. The half in 59 and 2/5 seconds. Victory Star is the leader, a length and 3/4. Neville Rascal is second on the inside. Luther Hanover third on the outside. Paris Air is fourth at the rail. Racing in fifth is Clayt Hanover as they swing around the turn. Off stride is Luther Hanover. Leading the way is Victory Star. Quick Trick moves up on the outside with Speedy Spin as they come to the 3/4 mile mark. It is Victory Star with the lead at the 3/4. Neville Rascal, Speedy Spin on the outside coming on, and between horses Clayt Hanover. And here comes Timothy T. Into the stretch they come, Speedy Spin on the outside. As they drive through the stretch, Speedy Spin closing with Timothy T, surging up on the extreme outside. Timothy T coming on, Victory Star down along the inside. Timothy T shows the way, Flower Child on the extreme outside. Victory Star at the rail, but it's Timothy T. Timothy T wins it by 3 lengths. In second is Flower Child, and there is a photo for show in the first heat of the Hambletonian in 2 minutes and 1/5 of a second.
Timothy T. living up to advanced expectations, and 27-year-old Johnny Simpson Jr. living up to his famous father. Making it a family affair is brother Jimmy Simpson, center, also deeply involved. A past master at bringing a horse to its peak on precisely the right day of the year, John Simpson Sr., Timothy T's trainer and owner, is congratulated by Stan Dancer. Timothy T's daddy, Ayers, not only won the Hambletonian in 1964, but blistered 1 heat of that classic in 1:56 and 4/5. a record which still stands in this harness racing headliner. So, in more ways than one here at DuQuoin today, it's Father's Day, with the sons, Johnny and Timmy, doing the honors thus far.
Here they come in the second heat of the 1970 Hambletonian Classic. And trotting, Formal Notice is out fast with Neville Rascal. Victory Star on the inside with Speedy Spin. And down along the rail, Timothy T. As they go around the first turn, the leader is Victory Star. Off stride on the outside is Gallant Prince. After an eighth of a mile, Victory Star leads by a length. Formal Notice is second. Speedy Spin is third. Neville Rascal is fourth on the outside. Timothy T is fifth at the rail. Fairbanks Hanover sixth on the outside. Flower Child is seventh going to the backstretch. Plate Hanover is eighth. The Consort ninth. Paris Air is 10th. Luther Hanover is 11th. Ardenal 12th. Quick Trick is 13th. Flynn Hanover is 14th. And Gallant Prince is 15th. The quarter in 29 and 2/5 seconds. As they go to the half-mile mark, Victory Star leads the way a length and a half. Formal Notice second. Driving up on the outside, Fairbanks Hanover is now second. Formal Notice is third. Racing in fourth as they go to the half-mile mark is Plate Hanover. They reach the half in 58 and 2/5 seconds. They are flying around that far turn. Victory Star is the leader. Fairbanks Hanover second by a head on the outside over his stablemate Formal Notice, who is third at the rail. And now up on the outside, Timothy T is on the move driving. He is fourth and flying on the extreme outside as they come to the three-quarters. Timothy T rushes up to challenge Victory Star for the lead. At the three-quarters, it's Timothy T on the outside, 1:28 and a fifth. Into the stretch they come, Timothy T, Victory Star on the inside. Speedy Spin moves up boldly on the outside for the stretch drive. Flower Child is on the extreme outside. It's Timothy T, Speedy Spin coming on. Here comes Formal Notice, driving on the outside. Formal Notice is thundering up on the outside. It's Formal Notice coming on to get the lead. Formal Notice, Timothy T, second in third is Speedy Spin as Formal Notice wins the second heat of the Hambletonian in 1:58 and 2/5 in a startling upset.
The fastest mile of the year by a trotting horse and a startling upset by Formal Notice, who started in only one race as a 2-year-old and had won only one race coming into this Hambletonian. Bred by Kentucky's Walnut Hall Farm and owned by the Allwood Stable of Far Hills, New Jersey, Formal Notice is a son of Kimberly Kidd, and he's driven by capable Jimmy Arthur, who already has a Hambletonian to his credit back in 1961 behind Harlan Dean. Formal Notice exploding from third in the stretch to send a Hambletonian into extra heats. And the big crowd gladly settles back to relax a bit and enjoy one of the race intermission shows that has helped make this Hambletonian scene at DuQuoin so colorful. Which reminds us there is not a single filly in the entire Hambletonian field today. Word now that 6 horses have been withdrawn from the upcoming third heat, they being Plate Hanover, Flynn Hanover, Neville Rascal, Paris Air, Ardenal, and Quick Trick. Formal Notice gets the rail with Timothy T alongside.
Here they come in the third heat of the 1970 Hambletonian here at DuQuoin. They're off and trotting. Victory Star is out fast from the outside. Formal Notice down along the inside with Timothy T. Victory Star races to the front around the first turn. Formal Notice is second. Timothy T third on the outside, and Gallant Prince is fourth. Fairbanks Hanover is fifth. Luther Hanover sixth. Speedy Spin is seventh on the outside. Flower Child is eighth, and the Consort is ninth. Into the quarter-mile mark they go with Timothy T up in front now by a length and a quarter. Formal Notice is out of third and driving. Quarter at 29 and 3/5 seconds. They go to the backstretch. Formal Notice races for and gets the lead. Timothy T is now second by a length. Victory Star is third. Gallant Prince is fourth. 4 lengths back in fifth is Fairbanks Hanover. Luther Hanover is sixth. Speedy Spin is seventh. The Consort is eighth. Flower Child is ninth. That's Formal Notice with the lead by a length and 3/4. Timothy T is second, a length and a half. Victory Star is third, a length. Gallant Prince is fourth. As the field moves to the half-mile mark, Formal Notice reaching the half in 1 minute and 1/5 of a second. It is Formal Notice leading a length and a half. Timothy T right there in second. Victory Star is third. Fairbanks Hanover ranging up now on the outside. Gallant Prince is fourth at the rail. Fairbanks Hanover fifth. Speedy Spin is sixth, moving up. Luther Hanover is seventh. The Consort is eighth, and Flower Child is ninth. Formal Notice leads, but Timothy T is out and driving at him as they come to the 3/4. Formal Notice on the inside, Timothy T on the outside. They're at the 3/4 mile mark in 1:31 and 2. Turning for home, Timothy T on the outside, Formal Notice on the inside. Gallant Prince is third, Fairbanks Hanover, Victory Star coming on, and Luther Hanover on the outside. That's Timothy T with the lead down through the stretch. Formal Notice is second. It's Timothy T and Formal Notice as they drive to the wire in the final eighth of a mile. Timothy T and Formal Notice, and it's Timothy T winning the Hambletonian. Formal Notice is second, and the third heat mile in 2 minutes and 3/5.
And Johnny Simpson Jr. becomes the youngest man ever to win the Hambletonian. For caretaker Charlie Coleman, it's number 2. He also having had heirs 6 years ago. Illinois Governor Richard B. Ogilvie proudly presides over Victory Lane ceremonies, but none is more proud this day than John Simpson Sr., who produced the horse, and Hambletonian President Bill Hayes, who produced the show. Add Mrs. Simpson Jr. to that list, too. For young Johnny Simpson Jr., admittedly the thrill of his young lifetime. We asked Johnny how it felt to be the youngest driver ever to win the Hambletonian, and what were the pressures.
Well, it was great to win, and it was great to get over. Of course, I don't know about the pressure. There wasn't that much pressure.
Johnny, is it correct that you and your dad aimed Timothy T just for the Hambletonian?
In one sense of the word, my father aimed Timmy for the Hambletonian. I don't know what I couldn't say what I would have done if he was my horse. I don't know if I could have waited and skipped those races like he did, but he had it in his mind from the time the colt was a 2-year-old that he was going to have him ready Hambletonian Day regardless of those other races, and he just had the patience, and if the horse hadn't been in just super condition, I don't think he would have won it.
Bred by Don Millar's Bonnie Keek Farms, Timothy T will go on from here to win both the Colonial at Liberty Bell Raceway and the Kentucky Futurity in Lexington. The classic Hambletonian and its winning trotter, once again casting long shadows ahead.